Hello everybody, my name is Nova Gaming, and welcome to Home, a Unique Horror Adventures by Benjamin Rivers. Now, what I've seen from this game is I remember seeing a full game, like playthrough, but I don't remember anything. It's been like a long time, and I figured, well, why not play it? Alright, your game will be saved automatically and at certain points. However, we recommend you put aside any hour and a half and complete Home in a single sitting. So I might do a full game through, whatever my thing is. Playthrough. All I remember, turn my light off. There we go. All I remember at that point was finding myself alone. Oh, my head. Where was I? It was so dark. There was something by my feet, a flashlight. And so it begins. The house. Where was I? There was a body lying on the floor. Who was it? Oops. The basement. Let's explore the first floor first. The desk had a computer and some papers on it, and a single drawer. I didn't want to snoop, but did I open the drawer? Yes. Receipts, pens, and a blurry photo. Looked like a store of some kind. Why did this look so familiar? I don't know, man. Blood on the wall. It smelled fresh and sickening. I realized that there was blood on my shoes and pants. Oh man, I had to get out of there. I noticed that I limped as I moved down the stairs. How did I hurt my leg? I wondered. All I could really recall was coming home seeing Rachel. I was upset. She looked afraid. I shook my head and tried to clear it. I knew I should head downstairs, try to find a way out. The shelf was full of books on local history and hunting. Seemed like the owner of the house really knew the area. An old dining table covered in dirty dishes for two people. There were dozens of beer cans and other liquor bottles among the dishes. The smell was turning my stomach. A black and white photo looked like the man upstairs and his wife. I guess there was no reason for me to keep this. Did I take it? Yes. I slipped the photo into my pocket. Maybe this would help me find some answers. Maybe indeed. Explore the rest of this first. A thin gray mouse was stuck in a trap. I looked frantic but exhausted. Did I free it? Sure, why not? A collection of rusty tools. These looked like they'd seen a lot of use and were caked in damp, smelling dirt. Why weren't they in a shed? A photo similar to the old one I picked up. It's been moved a lot. There seemed to be a switch behind it. Did I push the switch? Yes. It depressed smoothly into a wall. I heard a faraway click somewhere. Guess I can do that too. Okay. Oh, what the hell is that? The door was taped up and seemed to be stuck, but the smell, I guessed it, led to the kitchen. That switch in the wall worked. The door had been unlocked. Yeah, but I wanna search around more. Let's go this way. Oh, what? There were sheets of paper all over the kitchen table. It looked like a series of names were written down, but they were too smudged to read. I could only make out a few of the notes. Keycard, locker, last one, I promise. It didn't make much sense at the time. My mouse. Trophy earned. Cause and effect. It looked like hell. My clothes were dirty and torn, and there was mud caked all over my shoes. The bathroom was spotless. Everything had been wiped to a sheen. I wondered if it was the man's wife who did the cleaning, or him. There was a photo development tray lying on the floor. Some leftover negatives were sticking out, but they were pretty blurry. I thought I saw what looked like treetops. Keep going left. The front door was blocked by a pile of furniture. I knew I had to find another way out. My boy, just push it. It's furniture. Okay, cool. The box looked heavy, but there were marks on the floor. It had obviously been moved before. Maybe I had found a way out. I must have moved it right. I heard the box forward, and I heaved the box forward, and it finally gave. There was a ladder going underground where the box was. A dank smell rose from the passage. Did I climb down the ladder? Yeah. I looked again at the photo I found in the house. The couple looked distant, like they didn't want to be in the same picture. I wondered where the wife was. My leg was in terrible shape, but I had to get out. Footprints in the dirt looked like more than one kind, and a lot of traffic. Places all over were marked on the old map of town. The industrial area near the river, various houses, and even the water tower near the old rail station. Newspaper clippings from the local paper. They were all about murders in town over the last few years. Wait, there were photos? Photos of our house? What the hell was that about? Maybe I should have looked around more, tried to find some kind of information. A work table covered in paper, dirt, and a handgun. I hated guns. I didn't take it, did I? Yes. I took the smiling gun into my pocket. Its weight was somehow reassuring. It was so dark down there, and the air smelled stale and putrid. I couldn't believe what I saw. What was this place? The desk looked old and was caked with grime. On it was a stack of old, faded paper, covered with what looked like names. There were scratched out and illegible notes were written beside them in faded blue ink. I could only make out a few letters. He, I-V-E-Y, H-E-L-R-F. None of it made any sense to me. They looked to be bones, half dug into the ground, and the remains looked old. The faded clothes that stuck amongst the dirt looked familiar. They looked like the clothes that woman was wearing in the photo I found. Was this the man's wife? Maybe. Some kind of homemade rack slung together with poorly cut wood and rope. It was caked with old blood. Somebody didn't actually use that, did they? Oh, I can go. Ruts hooks look like the kind you'd find in a butcher, hung from the ceiling. They looked petty and worn from the heavy use. That man upstairs, did he do this? Who knows, man. Crudely made shelves. They looked like they were holding cans of some kind of corrosive, and labels were worn and sleek, but I could still see the warnings. The cager. It looked like a cage. It was small, but there was something coating the bottom, something wet. Some kind of old boxes. They looked like they were years old. Wait a minute, these boxes had old clothes in them. Clothes I remember throwing out after Rachel and I moved to town. What the hell were they doing here? Right there. I remember noticing the broken ladder. I had to be careful. There was a rope hanging there. I wasn't sure how sturdy it was. Did I take it? Yeah. Maybe the rope would make that broken ladder easier to descend. Yeah, that's great. I had the rope now. There must have been a use for it around somewhere. Oh, okay. Well. The rope I found would have let me climb down the broken ladder safely. Did I climb down? Yes. I could hear a faint hum, and the smell from before started to get worse. A bunch of old newspapers, wheat pasted together, and messages had been hastily smeared on it. Keep out, danger due to cave-in. Why keep going, my friend? Oh, it got eerie in here. I could still feel a faint impression of the rope I had slid down as I pressed against the heavy metal door. It was probably for the best that I hadn't jumped. The ache in my leg was bad enough as it is. If I could have, though, I would have run straight out of those awful tunnels. Who would keep such a place? At least I thought I had found that old handgun. It seemed to work, and from the smell of it, it had been used already. I kept the gun in my pocket. It seemed a familiar weight there. Exposed ventilation shaft. Maybe someone crawled through there, but it was so high up that must have been a sore landing. Ooh. There was dirt on the ground. It looked wet, and there was grass smeared within it. I could hear a faint trickling sound like water. What was that? A kitchen knife covered in drying blood. Thinking about it made me sick. I didn't even want to touch it. Did I take the knife? Yes. I slipped the knife in my boot since I had the gun in my pocket. Did I really need all this? Yeah, you probably do, my friend. Yeah, no, I'm good. What am I doing? I wasn't sure what those valves were. Did I turn it anyways? No. Let me see something. 4, 3, 2. 3, 4, 2. Turn all the valves. Whatever these valves did, this one wasn't pumping water anymore. Huh. 1. Turn it. Oh. I wasn't sure, but I thought it was some kind of regulator. I had no idea how it worked. Just press all the buttons, man. Something will happen eventually. The door was locked. There was a musty smell from inside. Probably a dead body. Exit. There was a rusty ladder sunk into the water, which smelled disgusting. I knew I couldn't climb down that. Maybe I could find a way to drain the putrid water. Okay, so the valves, there's something with the valves. Let's go up. Maybe I can find a note. Disgusting. It was a mess of filthy garbage bags. There were rips and tears in the most of the bags. It looked like an old videotape was sticking out. Did I take the tape? Yeah. I wasn't sure what I hoped to discover with the tape, but I took it anyways. Well, maybe I can use the tape for, like, to find some stuffs and things. Can I put the tape in the thing back here? Was it in this door? No, this is a locked door. So that's just worked in those sewers. So nothing. I can't go back all the way where I came from. So I could turn the rubber valve, shut it off. Its valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? Yes. I thought I could turn this water valve to shut off the flow. Did I turn it? Yeah. Looks like I turned off the water flow to this valve. Oh, but the valve was still active. Did I turn it again? Yes. The valve was still active. Did I turn it again? Yes. There we go. So I just keep turning the valves. I thought I could turn this valve to shut off. Yep. Now this other door, or the exits, should be good to go. There we go. Looks like the water drained out of that grate in the wall. There was a small metal key left floating in the shallow pool of the rancid water. Did I take it? Yes. I pocketed the small key, but it was so odd shaped, I had no idea what it might open. The safety poster had definitely seen better days. How old was that facility? Door was locked. I could see a faint light within. There was a security camera in the room. There must have been a way to see what had happened. Maybe the VHS tape I found could be useful. Ooh. Oh. I found another dead body, a sewer worker. By the wounds all over his face and body, I figured he'd been stabbed repeatedly. There was a keyring sticking out of the man's pocket. Did I take it? Yes. I thought about the knife I had found with some disgust as I carefully picked the keys from his pocket. I was almost worried he was going to grab me. That's creepy. There was a hint of fresh air here. I must have been near an exit. But I wondered, what did the key I found on the sewer worker do, and what was on the videotape I found? This must have been the other end of the ventilation shaft. Whoever used it could have gotten past that flooded room with this. Yeah. Going up. I made my way up the ladder as best I could. On my leg. Would I really need that gun or that knife before the end? I wondered what was on that VHS tape I found, or in that locked room. Should I have gone back to check? My head was buzzing with questions and tired thoughts as I ascended the ladder. Suddenly, as I lifted the heavy lid above me, I could smell fresh old pine trees. I'm outside now. Ooh, I see ice. An old ladder leading up to an ancient water tower. The ladder needed to be extended, so I climbed it. Did I extend the ladder? Yes. I popped the latch and broke the ladder down. Can I go anywhere else from here? Okay, I'm gonna try going up the ladder first. In a patch of smeared dirt and grass, there was a beat-up old wallet. I thought it was mine. Did I take it? Yes. I slid the filthy wallet into my back pocket. I noticed it didn't contain any kind of gun permit. In fact, it didn't contain any card or ID of any kind. I thought I should recover my credit card and driver's license at least. From the railing, I could see over the woods and down to the entrance to the sewers. Had I come through there before? If I did, someone definitely could have seen me. Go back down. I tried the little key I had fish out of the murky piles and sewers. It fit, and I heaved open the rusty door. The wind was picking up a bit. The night air had becoming strangely chilly. The old train station was quiet as a tomb. The only sound was that of the increasing wind buffeting the seat structure. The ancient ticket booth was falling apart and covered in dust and grime. Stacks of paper lined the counter, faded remains of old schedules and reports. Among the papers were news-looking sheets covered in scribbles and ineligible notes. Come to think of it, the man in that house had kept similar scribbles hidden on his bookshelf, and he had notes on the water tower outside too. I guess he could have been coming here, but why? What was he using this old station for? An old map encased in glass hung on the wall. It was the train routes connected to the old station. As I looked at it, it seemed familiar. Of course, the map I found in those tunnels had similar locations marks, and the notes I found on the other man's bookshelf. His notes mentioned the water tower and even this train yard. What was he doing, coming back there? Back outside. The old train was ripped open and hanging from a shred of metal. As well as the broken fence was a dark, strained patch of cloth. It looked synthetic like some kind of outerwear. Inside the train shell, I could see a few faint impacts like wounds. Could they have been bullet marks? Was somebody shot there? The ground was well worn, though I couldn't really make anything out. I realized I was touching the gun I had found, as I thought. Is there anything like up? It was getting colder out there and I had to keep moving. So I have to go back the way I came. I can't go that way. I never went left, so... Yep. This must have been the entrance to the forest that was mentioned on the map I had seen. Whoever was poking around in those tunnels underneath that man's house had scribbled notes on this place, but I couldn't make them out. Here the signs pointed out various campsites and walking paths within the woods. I mentioned a river and maybe a washroom, but the rest was too faded to see clearly. Trampled into the dirt and grass was a plastic card of some kind. I brushed it off and was surprised to see it was my credit card. I wasn't sure if it was still usable, but it was mine. Did I take it back, the credit card? Yes. I pocketed the credit card. Hopefully I could find my driver's license too. Mustn't keep going. Through the fence I could see a dilapidated outbuilding. I wondered if I could find my way around. So now we're going to go right. We're just going to search out the whole places. Okay, so go back here. Keep going left. There we go. A dry old picnic table sat lonely amongst the trees, and had carvings and marks from the years of previous campers. As I tried to read some of the names and the marks, I idly thumbed the knife I'd found. Idly, that's what it was. If I wanted to, I could have carved something on that table. Did I? Yes. With a few crude strokes, I etched a simple design into wood. R plus H. I felt like a teenager defacing the table. The path ended in a cold-looking river. I wasn't sure if that was safe to cross. Did I cross it? Two bodies, two young women, were half dug into a hasty, shallow grave between the trees. The younger-looking one was still face up, her dead eyes gleaming against my flashlight. I had no idea who these girls were. I didn't touch the gravesite, did I? No. It was the best to leave this alone and find a way out of those damned woods. Yeah, I see. I tried to arrange the bodies so their clothes covered them better. I closed the young one's eyes, shivering at the sight of touch. With a few nearby sticks, I created a head mark so the police could find them later. Yeah, wait back. Yep. So now I'm gonna go back here and go over here. Oh, what was that noise? There were some personal effects shoved back into the rock. Wait, there was a notebook there, too. Did I read it? Yes. Inside the cheap dollar store notebook was page after one page of names and lists. None of it made much sense. The newest page contained several names. Heather, Olivia, Ashley, Cheryl, Iris, Daphne, Holly, Rose, Rachel. Rachel, her name was last on the list, and had a mark beside it in blue ink. The names Daphne and Olivia had been crossed out in the same blue ink. Cheryl, Heather, and Rose had also been crossed out, but those marks looked older and more faded. So those are people that have been killed, I'm guessing. A few embers still burned within the fire pit. I thought of the two girls across the river and had to suppress a shudder. Who else was out in those woods? Two folding camping chairs were on the ground. One was knocked over. If those poor girls were here, then they obviously ran off. There were cans of beer spilled onto the ground, and the dirt was kicked up. The cheap dome tent could fit two people. Did I root around inside? Yes. Inside the stuffed tent were two sleeping bags, still unpacked. Next to them sat two overstuffed backpacks. One was a cheaper-looking shed bag that contained women's toiletries and some clothes. The other looked more expensive, though its contents were similar. A cooler had some ice in it, which had long since melted and contained only canned beers and easy-to-make food. I couldn't find any cell phones or car keys. A terrible tragedy. Can I go this way? No, okay. The sign was the same as the first one I had seen. This must have been the exit to the other side of the woods. I finally found the exit. Once I left, I knew I never wanted to return there. Through the dense trees, I could finally start to see some light. I must have been at the edge of the forest, though I wasn't sure where the path ahead of me led. I could almost feel the cryptic notebook in my pocket as I tried to think about what it could mean, and where were the campers who had Would I meet them too? Though the path ahead of me was less dense, I still felt guarded and wary. Who knew what was ahead? As I stepped through the gate, I suddenly recognized the auto parts factory where I had worked as a machinist for all those years. The plant had closed almost 3 years ago. Now times were better then. I thought I could hear a faint rustling behind me. Maybe it was just the wind. Let's go this way first. Okay, let the door locked. One of the lockers hung open. Its contents were tossed around like someone had been looking for something. There was a large power box with 5 lights on it. Cables burst out of the box, snaking off the other parts of the factory. The metal was starting to wear and cobwebs had collected on the corners. The box wasn't receiving power. Doors locked tight. It seemed to be connected to the power box beside it. Doors locked shut, and there was a little electronic box under the handle. A sign was pasted to the front that said, "Danger, closed for repairs." Every part of this plant smelled old and rotted. I noticed the old bulletin board on the wall. The board contained yellowed clippings of newspaper, cartoons, and notices. There were notes to and from the guys that worked here. One of them was to Norman, who was one of the older guys on the line. Our old break table, the layer of dust and grime only made seeming to string more. Let's wait to go upstairs. A power panel. Looked like it was shut off. Did I push the switch? Yes. The open locker was stuffed with dirty work clothes and old boots. There was a photo of a woman taped to the inside, but it was scratched out, and the face was unrecognizable. The power panel looked like it was shut off. Did I push the switch? It was shut tight. There was a rusty-looking card slot on the side, so I need to find a key card of some sort. Oh, what? Go up some stairs. Door had been hastily boarded up. This was Norman's locker. The door was dented, like someone had punched it. I don't remember him doing that when we worked there. The other panel hoped it could help me to get to the power back on. Did I push the switch? A utility shelf crammed with mismatched tools and items there was a claw hammer on the shelf. Did I take the hammer? Yes. As I took the hammer, I noticed it wasn't as dusty as the rest of the tools on the shelf. The locker was a complete mess. Hidden at the bottom, though, was a magnetic card. Did I take the card? Yes, I need that card. I slipped the key card into my pocket. Another panel, I was hoping it could help me get the power back on. Did I push the switch? Yes. The power panel still wasn't working. Did I try it again? Yes. Oh. Another panel that I hope get the power back on. I push it. The power panel still wasn't working. I pushed it again. The power panel wasn't working. I tried to push it again. There we go. I got the power back on and I got the key card, so I need to go back down. Yeah, I need something to get that off. The key card I found seemed like it would pass through this reader. Did I use the key card? Yes. There was some kind of ventilation hatch here. It looked like I could jump to the room below. My legs hurt enough as it was, but I couldn't see another option. Did I jump? No, not yet. Okay, yes, now I can. Oh man, my leg hurt like hell. Well, congratulations. Suck it up, man. There was a crumbled up letter on the floor. It had been scratched out heavily, and it was hard to make out. Did I try to read the letter? Yes. Most of the letter was violently scratched out with what looked like to be a ballpoint pen. All I could make out was "need to, just don't drinking, need Norman." Who was Norman writing to? I looked around at the darkness, trees. Oh no, okay. I looked around at the darkened trees and damp, hard-packed dirt outside the factory walls. I wasn't entirely familiar with the path before me, but I knew it was a long walk home. For some reason, I felt a hint of regret at leaving that place, but I knew I had to get home to Rachel. I thought I'd try to make it back to the main road, and find my way from there. Walking. Dumpster is a dumpster. As the garbage bin was a disgusting mess of rotten food in slick black bags. I saw a thin greenish corner poking out from one of the bags. It was my driver's license. It looked damaged. Did I take it back? Yes. I cleaned the card off as best as I could. It looked pretty beat up. I was amazed to have found my credit card, and now this. I tucked the card into my wallet next to my credit card. Sounded like it was going to start raining again. I entered Norman's place. This was the back of the store that he ran. It was oddly quiet except for the faint sound of a television. Then just at the front of the store was locked from the inside. Looked like I could just pop it open. If it opened, it needed a key. There was a bit of blood on the keyhole. Go left. What was this? It looked like a bunch. Pull the chain hanging from the ceiling. I wonder where it led. Did I pull the chain? Yes. I let the chain a single tug and it simply folding the ladder the attic popped down. Okay, cool. The TV still flickered some indecipherable. Just Norman. Oh no. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Norman, my co-worker, I'm an idiot, co-worker, and one of the few friends I had in this town, lay dead beside his armchair. His face and shirt were covered in blood. It looked like he'd been shot trying to get up. His eyes were still wide with shock. Norman, you deserve better than this. Did I close your eyes? Yes. I wasn't sure if I wanted to give him peace, or if I just couldn't stand to think anymore about what was going on. Quickly, I closed Norman's eyes. I guess this was Norman's kitchen table. He kept it clean enough, but there were water rings from 2 cups still there in the wood. The kitchen trash bin smelled fresh. I didn't dig through that mess, did I? Yes. I found a hairpin amongst the rotting food and trash and pocketed it. The disco party, yeah, disco party. I'm an idiot, I know. There's a large cardboard box that hadn't been sealed. Did I open it yet? Inside the cardboard box was a pile of clothes, photos, and even shoes. As I looked closer, I realized they were Rachel's. What were you doing here, Rachel? Were you responsible for poor Norman downstairs? Who knows? Headed this way. Now we go right. I wasn't entirely surprised to find this there. It was one of Rachel's old fall coats. I always wondered what happened to it. How long had it been there? Inside the cabinet was a small but impressive collection of hunting rifles, shotguns, and even a few items I didn't think were legal here. One of the slots on the rack was empty. The gun I had found seemed to match the others there. If the handgun was Norman's, what the hell was he doing with it? The gun would fit there. Did I place it back on the cabinet? I carefully pushed the piece back in place and felt a great burden lifted. A close call. Now where do I go? I used a hairpin to pick the lock. The hairpin snapped in half, so I threw it away. The general store was small, but it was clean. It had the usual things: postcards, snacks, magazines, and canned goods. I never went there much. Rachel usually stopped by after work if we needed anything. The register was mostly empty, and a fat stack of travel magazines sat beside it. The icebox seemed to be unplugged. It must have been off for a while, but of its contents were half melted. There were various postcards from the area, especially from the tourist traps. One of the postcards showed an old black and white photo of the water tower. It looked to be in much better shape then. It'd been weeks since I'd last seen Norman, and finding him that way still left me cold. Thinking of him slumped against that chair only cemented my reassurance in getting rid of that gun. It looked like someone had taken that piece from his store, but why was it in those tunnels? As I stepped outside, I recalled that dusty old box of clothes in Norman's attic. I felt like I had only discovered more questions, no answers, but I was close to home. It was time to find out the truth. Alright, well, before I go any farther into this game, I'm going to leave this episode here, guys. If you did enjoy, please smash the like button, comment, and subscribe, and stay bright, my friends.